Hi, my name is Mark. I'm a concept artist and illustrator working for the entertainment industry. Um, here, I'm planning to create an illustration of an apocalyptic planet. The first step is, if I'm doing space scenes, is always establishing some sort of a generic space background. So if you start to do space and the generic sky, uh, it's always great to add a bit of atmosphere and clouds to make it more interesting and not just have a pure black background with stars. Uh, for the stars, I just simply used a scattered uh, dotty brush, and I covered the whole image with that, and I erased it back with some custom brushes to have it more scattered around and have a bit of variation in the size of the stars. So as the second step, I'm blocking in the two planets. I wanted to have a moon as an additional compositional element, and I also wanted to add a spaceship in the foreground, or more spaceships. So I'm just blocking in a generic spaceship shape to have the composition right, because I want to see the whole composition, how it's gonna work, just roughly where the different main compositional elements are going to be in the space. So I'm trying to build the whole composition around the rule of thirds. So uh, and placing the main elements around the intersection of the thirds. So the spaceship is there, the moon is there. And now I'm pretty much happy with where it's going. So here's the basically the composition, and everything, basically light, the moon and the spaceships, all are heading towards or pointing towards the main planet. That's what is my main interest, my main focal point. So as I'm happy with the composition and switch off the spaceship, I'm gonna go back to that at the end. I really like to handle the story elements at the very end of my painting, because that's what makes it makes it more lively. So I'm just started the first detail pass. I added some more texturing to the moon, just to have it more roughly, because I want to I want to add more clouds, uh, more cloudy and smoky planet. So I thought it could be a nice opposite to have a more rough moon in the background. So after the first cloud layer, I just created a color dodge layer, and with a custom brush, I just added a bunch of scattered lights uh, to the whole thing, to suggest the whole planet is covered with cities. And now I'm I'm going to erase those back, because like the clouds are covering certain parts of the planet and certain parts of the lights. So when you create planets or like orbital views, especially, um, the key point is to create different levels, different, almost like different layers on the planet's surface, like the surface, the light, the city lights, the clouds also, and the atmosphere has also various layers. And uh, if you can create and show those layers, then even the planet's surface is really smooth, or sort of flat compared, or real thin compared to the size of the planet. You can still add depth to your images. So at this point, I just went back to the spaceship. As I wasn't really happy how it looked like. So I just went back and redesigned the shape, transformed uh, transformed it into and repainted into a more aggressive, more alien looking design, because I want to show basically the just the point before an alien invasion of this planet. So in this step, I felt I need just a bit of more visual noise and visual nuances. So I grabbed a couple of textures from my texture libraries, um, just some random planetoid for the moon, some space photography about quads, and some aerial photography of city lights, and I dumped those onto my already established painting. And um, these I mean, using textures is I'm using more textures more to enhance the details of my pieces, so not necessarily building on top of textures like as matte painters do. So what I've done is just added a bit more visual noise to the whole piece, and that's basically the last painting phase. What I started adding more clouds, adding uh, custom lines before to the cities or between cities to make it look more futuristic, make the whole planet look a bit more futuristic, and just going back and forth between the different layers. What I mentioned before, uh, doing some color adjustments on the go, and I also wanted to add some textures to the ship, just to bring it to the same level as the whole piece. So I just looked up and find some contemporary architecture, and applied that as texture on top of the ship, just to have an extra layer of pattern and on the surface. And to unify it, I painted on top to actually uh, have a unique look, and not just plain base with an applied texture. So this phase is pretty much finished, and the last phase is basically to create a story and to finalize the piece with some effects. So I started to duplicate the ship, and I've cut out some parts of my own ship, and I created some smaller ships with different overall shapes from that, and I'm basically just duplicating it around to create the feel of an invading alien army of ships. So I really don't want it to show the actual attack where they're started to bomb the planet. So it's just before this happening. So I really like to just suggest some story elements instead of showing them in my pieces. Added some extra details, adding some extra highlights and darks onto the clouds. So sort of unifying the whole piece, and adding a bit more details to make it look whole. Some extra glow. These are really the finishing touches. Adding some extra glow, some adjustments, some effect layers onto the top. Just slightly, doesn't have to be really prominent. some level adjustments at the end, and it's finished. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something.